Hey guys, welcome to the Skolo Online YouTube channel, the channel that is all about learning, okay? In this channel, we make a lot of videos on web development, WordPress design, e-commerce development, Python development, and a whole lot more. We will take you through the process of everything we're teaching you from beginning to end, step by step, so that you can follow along and build as we build, all right? If you're new to this channel, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button. The subscribe button is going to be red right underneath the video that you're watching, and like this video and comment on these videos. Let us know what works for you, what doesn't work for you, so that we can create content that is more relevant to what you guys want to watch, okay? Also, underneath the video that you're watching, there is that show more button underneath the description. Please open it up and have a look at some of the links that we've created for you. Every time that we make a video, we will add all the useful links underneath it. So if you hear me saying in the video that I'm going to link it in the description below, that's where you'll find the link in the description underneath the video, all right, for more information to help you learn along, all right? And a lot of the videos that we make, also we will create timestamps because our videos are long. You don't have to watch the entire video. You can go through these timestamps and read which part of the video you are interested in watching. Click on the timestamp and it will fast forward you to that part of the video, and you only have to watch that, all right? And we also have linked in the description below our social media channels, so feel free to follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. We've got our website right there, and if you want to get in touch with us, my email address is also available in the description below. So let's start learning. In this video, we are going to go back to our Django web application careers portal website, okay? This website we built right here on this channel from scratch. So if you're interested to see how we built this, have a look at our Django tutorial videos from the first video all the way to the end until we deployed this website on a DigitalOcean, a droplet. So what this website does is that it's a job search engine where people can come and search for certain jobs. And it'll give them a list of jobs. Let's say, I don't know, you're looking for a job for an engineer, and they'll find, it'll give them, jobs that we have available on the system and, based on the companies. Okay, so we did a lot of interesting stuff on this website. We taught you how to, work with Django models, work with Django applications. We even did like a bit of web scrapping, because the jobs that we're displaying on this website, we're scrapping off other websites. We showed you how to even scrap a PDF document, because we were able to scrap the government jobs directly off PDF documents. So it's a different type of scrapping from web scrapping. So we did a lot, and today I want to go back to this project, because there's something that I wanted to add on: the ability for people to subscribe to job notifications. A lot of job search websites have that. Okay, so today we're going to implement that, and in order to implement that, we need a couple of building blocks ready to set up. The first building block is that we need to have the ability to have the users have a profile, and those users must select the type of notification that they want to receive. Okay, and according to our privacy rules and regulations, if you read our privacy policy, we need to have the ability for the users to be able to delete a notification if they don't want it. That is also being compliant with the latest privacy laws. Okay, so people can subscribe to getting email notifications, but they should be able to unsubscribe at any time if they want to. And also they should be able to change their preferences if they want to get a different type of notification. Okay, so I've implemented all of that. That's the first part that our app should be able to do. The second part is that our app should be able to schedule tasks in the back end, because we're running this Django app on the front end. Okay, it's running off port 555. I'm going back to the to the actual app itself. It's running on port 555. I'm running a Django shell over here. You can see that the app is actually running right now as I'm talking to you. So this app needs to have the ability to do multiple tasks and threading. So while it is running on the app, people can search and do stuff on the back end. Every now and then, whether we're going to do it every week or every other day or every day, depending on the preference, we should have the ability to send emails in the background while the app is running. Okay, so the app has to be able to schedule events and schedule tasks within the app itself. You can do this off the app, or you can create a different side application where you're just scrapping your own website and emailing people, but that's a little bit too much. Okay, so what I'd like to do is to build the scheduling ability within the Django app itself, so that while I'm running the app on the front end, there is a separate parallel task running, managing all the different tasks. Okay, so we'll be able to use this scheduling ability to email people on a regular basis, users that we have on our profile based on the preferences that they've selected. But I'm going to add on something else to this scheduling also to schedule the web scraping as well, because I've written code to scrap the websites that we get these jobs from. But currently I have to come here manually and remember every time to run the code so that it removes the old jobs and scraps new ones. We should have the ability to run all of that as well automatically in the back end, so that our database is automatically updated on a schedule. So we could decide to do it every day, every week, every other day, depending on how you want to do it. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to implement scheduling. All right, and then you yourself can go and learn and use the principles I'm going to teach you to schedule any task you'd like to do. But I'm going to show you how to do it with sending email notifications, and maybe you can then implement the updating of your database as well on a schedule. Okay, so let's get started. This website has changed a bit since the last time we had a tutorial on it. I have sort of upgraded my dashboard, all right, not formally, but I'm running it on my machine. I haven't pushed the changes yet because I'm still doing a couple of things, but I want to have a different looking dashboard where people can you can see the menu of the dashboard menu there, and then you have the initial information that they see. They can see our latest blogs at the top there, and the latest jobs, based on whatever they've subscribed to. Obviously, I'm going to list that way here. All right, and then the resume page is also a little bit different. If you recall what we had done before, here people can update their resume. They can see what their personal information. I've broken it down to different sections: work experience, education. So we had all of this before. What I've added that's new is the ability for them to add references and skills. All right. But this references and skills, I did it exactly the same way I did that. So if you look at the tutorials we did in the past with the old HTML code, it's the exact same code in the back end. All right, so I've changed the front end, but the back end is exactly the same. Okay, the back end just fetches information from the database, and then it sends it to the HTML, HTML file, and I've just changed the HTML file not to look like what it looked before, to look like this. So this is just a different HTML file. The front end is different, but the back end is the same. This is the beauty of Django. All right, once you build a Django app, you can replicate it. You don't have to rewrite the code. You can just change the front end and it will look completely different, but the structure and the code at the back will look exactly the same. So I've sort of upgraded the way my front end looks a little bit over there. And then I've added a new section here. This wasn't there before, the ability for people to subscribe. Okay, so we're going to start from this point going forward because I don't want this tutorial to be too long. I want it to focus on the scheduling element of it. All right, so on the account page, as a user, I can subscribe. Okay, so currently I've subscribed to jobs which have the manager tag on it. All right, so I can unsubscribe from here if I don't want this anymore. All right, so I've unsubscribed and I don't have that subscription. Then I have the option to resubscribe. If I've unsubscribed, you click on resubscribe, and then you can pick the different type of jobs that you want to subscribe to. So let's say I want to subscribe again to an engineer position, and then I'll say save changes. And then you'll see I've now resubscribed to engineer. Okay, so everything up to here, I'm not going to show in this tutorial because this is basic Django stuff. If you look at other tutorials we've done in the past, you'll be able to figure out how to do this on your own. Okay, there's a little bit of conditional rendering on the front where it checks if somebody subscribed or not to decide whether to display the resubscribe, unsubscribe, whatever. So you can figure all of that out. What I want to focus on this tutorial is the scheduling element. Okay, so let's get started with that. The scheduling element. Now, there's different ways you can do it. Okay, there's a lot of, you have Django app scheduler, you have a lot of different types, and I've gone through a lot of the documentation, and I'm going to show you a solution that I found was sort of not the easiest to implement, but the one that was easiest to understand, that was not as complicated as the other one that I came across. Okay, so this one was the easiest to implement. I implemented in about 2 hours on this app, actually less than 2 hours. All right, and I made sure that it works, and I'm going to take you through that. And that one is called Celery. Okay, So it's this one over here. I will link this in the description below. Okay, everything related to the Celery project, and we're going to use a Celery and not Django Celery, just Celery as it is, and I will take you through the process of implementing it step by step. All right, so there's a couple of things you must get right, and don't miss any part of this tutorial. If you're confused, have a look at the timestamps. We will timestamp each and every single part of this tutorial as we take you through it. Okay, so we're going to implement Celery with our Django app to schedule the ability for our app to email users based on their preferences on a weekly basis, job notifications. Okay, so this is an interesting tutorial, guys. If you're excited as I am, pull out your your typing fingers and let's get started. Okay, so pull out your Django project and have it opened over there, and you should have it running as well on a shell like that. So we're gonna stop running it, okay, and then we're just gonna clear all of this. And if you click ls, if you type ls to list everything that is in the directory that you're in, you should be in the directory where the manage.py file of your Django app is. Okay, so everything we're gonna do from this point going forward. And the other thing as well, you should have your virtual environment running. Okay, so my virtual environment is called Skolo env. You should have that activated. You should be in the same directory where your manage.py file is, and then you can follow along with this tutorial. Okay, so when we get started, the first step, all right, the first thing that you need to do is that you need to install what they call Redis, okay? Because Celery in the background works with Redis, all right? And I've got a nice tutorial on how to install Redis on a virtual private server, because I'm working on a Ubuntu 20.04. So if you've been following along from the beginning, you would also have an Ubuntu 20.04 server that you're working on. This is where I'm working on. And you need to install Redis on this, all right? So this tutorial will only work for you if you're working on Ubuntu. And you can, use the drop-down menu over there for different operating systems, all right? But we're going to be working off DigitalOcean, virtual private server, but it could be any private server. It could be any Ubuntu machine. It doesn't have to be a DigitalOcean one, okay? So you could use any server that you like. If you want to work with a DigitalOcean droplet, which is really one of the most affordable in the market out there, you can start with us from right at the beginning of the tutorial. I'll put also the link in the description below where you can purchase a DigitalOcean droplet for just as little as $5 a month. And if you use my link, you will get a discount of $100. All right, so you'll get it subsidized for the first couple of months before you actually have to pay anything out of your pocket. I think the first 2 months you'll get it for free, so you can test it out and see what it's like before you commit to it. Okay, so use my link in the description if you'd like to to get that 2-month discount. All right, so let's get started. So inside of your droplet, the first command that you need to run is this one over here. So this tutorial is very, very detailed. I'll link it below, and just copy and paste. All right, so you copy that, and you let me just move this closer to where that is, and then move this to the other side so that I can navigate easier. Okay, so the first thing is to update your your packages, and then you'll have to enter your sudo password because this is a sudo command, and then it will just run that. Okay, so while it's running, you'll have a look over there, sudo apt install Redis server. Okay, that's what you need to do. So I've already installed this. I'm not going to install it again, but if you follow the tutorial that I'll link here for you, it will be showing you clearly how to do this. Okay, so copy that and paste it like that, and then just copy that and paste it over there. All right, so I'm not gonna run it because I've already run this, and then it will install it for you. And if it asks you, are you sure you want to proceed, where it says it's gonna take this much space, just click yes and proceed. All right, then once you've done that, you need to do a couple of modifications inside of your config file. All right, so to do that, this config file exists. It will come with your installation. All right, but to access it, you need to have run it on a sudo command, and the file is called redis.conf, conf, and it is stored under etc redis. Okay, but you can just copy this whole line as it is because it will take you directly to that file. Okay, so this is a file that was installed when you installed Redis, and just click on it, and you have to open it with sudo commands because it's located in this location that only super user can open. So obviously, needless to say, the virtual machine you're working from, you need to have super user sudo privileges on it. All right, So if you click it, it opens a file, all right? And then I just want you to like, just scroll down on this file. Make sure first of all, the bind, make sure that this is not highlighted out. So in some cases, when you do this installation, you might find that that bind will have like the hash in front of it, which means they have commented it out. If they've done that, just uncomment it like that, all right? So that you can bind this port, this machine, this port to your to Redis, all right? And then just go down. You don't need to change anything else. You'll see the port is 6379. Don't change that, okay? Leave it like that, okay? And then just keep going down. Supervise systemd. Yeah, this is the one. All right. So so the first time you install it, under supervised, it will say supervised no. Okay, so it will say no for supervised. Okay, so I just want you to change that no to systemd. All right, so replace the no with systemd. You will see in the documentation it's also explained that there'll be a no in front of that supervised, and just take that no out and replace it with systemd. So I've already done that, okay? And that's all the changes you have to do on this file, okay? Replace the no with the systemd, and just have a look at the top and make sure that the bind is not commented out and that you're binding your port. And then you're gonna do Control X, which asks you if you wanna save the changes you've made. Okay, so I shouldn't have had any changes. So I'm gonna actually say no, because my configurations were done right. But in your case, you will, when it says you wanna save the changes, you just press Y. And then after you press Y, you press enter, and then it will save the changes that you've just made, all right? And then once you've done that, to make sure that those changes are implemented, you just need to run this command, okay? You just copy it as it is like that, all right? And you paste it over there, systemctl restart Redis as service, okay? And then you click enter, okay? I can restart the service as well. Doesn't matter because I haven't made changes, okay? So every time you make changes to your config file, okay, you need to restart the service so that the changes can take effect, okay? Redis is really important for you to be able to run Celery on Python and Python Django, because it's going to be it's going to be what they call a broker. It's going to be like the middleman broker that works between your app and and the instructions. I don't know. It's a long process, but just make sure that you have it installed and it works well, okay? And once you've installed it and you want to just make sure that it's installed correctly, if you continue with the tutorial, if you've done everything the way I've shown you, you'll be fine. But if you just want to double check that the installation is correct, and also if you're troubleshooting, like in the future, if you installed it and you're not sure if it's running properly, you can always check the status of the file, of the running of the Redis by tapping this command, status Redis, okay? It's just gonna check for you that everything is running. And if you run this command, you should have a green there next to the Redis, and you should see it saying active running, okay? So this means you're good to go, all right? So that's very, very important. You'll see there's also a snapshot of what it must look like if you're checking. There's a couple of other things. I'm not going to run all of these, but if you're like doing this for the first time and you just want to double check everything is working, you can just go through the commands on the rest of the tutorial. But they're not important. If your system is running and you see that green over there, you're good to go, okay? So that's the first thing that you need to do to install Redis, okay? So I'm going to clear this, and we're gonna move on, okay? So once you've installed a Redis, you need to then pip install Redis inside of your virtual environment, okay? Because there is also the Redis library that connects to the Redis, application or functionality, okay? So over and above installing it on the machine, you have to install it inside of your virtual environment, the library that's going to connect to it, okay? And that's very, very easy. You just do pip install Redis like that, okay? So I've already run it. I'm not going to run it again, but I would run it again. There'd be like no harm done. It will just tell me that this has already been satisfied, okay? You will see that requirement already satisfied, okay? So in your case, when you run it the first time, it will go through the process of installing it, but make sure you are running it inside of your virtual environment. So you need to be inside of your virtual environment when you run the command pip install Redis. Then after you've done this, then you need to now install Celery, okay? There's Celery has different versions, and you can go through their documentation, and I will also link this in the description below, okay? So I'm gonna go take you through the documentation, And well, I'm not going to take you through the documentation, but I will link this for you and you can read it in your own time, and all the different licenses. Okay, so I'm going to now run a pip, okay, install Redis, okay, not Redis, man, install Celery. Remember, when you're in the virtual environment, it doesn't matter whether you say pip3 or pip, it's the Python that's installed in the virtual environment that you're installing with. So you can just say pip install Celery, okay? And this is very, very important that you install this version of Celery if you want to follow along with this tutorial, because from version 4 to version 5, there's some slight changes, and the code that I found that works with this version 4.4.2, okay? So you need to say pip install Celery, all right, 4.4.2. Okay, so you need to install this version of Celery. If you don't install this version of Celery, you might have problems in the future, because there's some differences between the latest version. If you just do pip install Celery, it will install for you the latest available library, okay? But you can specify exactly the type of the library version that you want, okay, because there's differences. So the one that you need, if you want to follow along, is this one, 4.4.2, that you need to install. Okay, so I'm not going to run this because I've already installed it, and I don't want to run it. I don't want to get issues, because it was a bit of a hassle to get to the Celery to work. So just install that version and then click enter, and then it will do that installation for you. And then your setup is complete. That's all. Okay, so let's go through the steps again. You need to install Redis. You install it with apt-get. Okay, you install it with apt-get in your virtual private server. So this installs it in your whole machine. Okay, after you've installed Redis, you go and you double check the the settings config file, and you just tinkle a couple of settings over there the way I've showed you. All right, once you've done that, you come back to your virtual environment, and then you install Redis and you install Celery 4.4.2. That's the setup steps. That's all you need to get started. Okay, you don't need to do any more changes inside of your Django app. You don't have to go add anything on your installed apps. You don't have to migrate anything. You don't have to do make migrations. So all of that other setup steps that's required when you're doing app scheduler, for example, that usually throws people off. You don't have to do any of that. All right, this is all you need to do if you're working off a machine, and now you can start writing your code to start the scheduling. Okay, so there's 3 areas that we need to write code for. All right, and I don't know if I can type this for you here that you can understand. All right, so you have your high level a project, right? So you have your high level project, all right, and inside of your high level project, you'll have you'll have like a folder called your project folder, like that. All right, and inside of your project folder, you'll have, this is where you have your settings.py file. Remember your settings.py file. This is where you have your urls.py file. This is where you have a lot of other files over there. All right, and then after that, when you build an application, all right. So let's say we built an application. The first app that we built we called it Jobs app, right? So we're going to do our scheduling inside of the Jobs app. So that's what I want you to worry about. Inside of the Jobs app, you will have, files like views.py, you will have files like apps.py, you'll have files like models.py and other files, right? So I just want you to remember this structure when we are doing our setup. So inside of this project folder, all right, inside of this project folder, over and above all the files that exist, I want you to create a file called celery.py, all right, and create it inside of the projects folder. And I'm going to bold this, and I'm going to say heading, all right. So I want you to create a file called celery.py inside of your project directory, okay. So let's do that. So we gonna go and cd into our project directory. In this specific case, is called where is it? Where's our project directory? Skolo app. Okay, so we need to cd Skolo app. All right, and inside of this Skolo app, we create a new file that is called celery.py. All right. And then inside of that file called celery.py, there's a couple of things we're going to do, all right? inside of the celery.py, you're going to copy and paste this code for you. Okay, so if you like, you can freeze your video right here, and then you'll be able to like make sure you don't miss anything on this file. All right. From future, import absolute. These are all the imports that you need. All right, an operating system and the Celery itself. Okay, and the only thing you need to change on this file is the name of your project. Okay, so everywhere you see Skolo app, all right. So I've called my app is called Skolo app. So everywhere you see Skolo app, which is over there and over there, replace Skolo app with whatever the name of your project is. So in this specific case, my project is called Skolo app. So you have the Skolo app folder at the top, right, which is that one over there, Skolo app, and then you have Skolo app over there. That's why you have Skolo app, Skolo app. This is what's happening over here. Skolo app, and then in there you have that file, all right? So everywhere I have Skolo app, you call it whatever it is you want to call your project. Then leave everything else the same. Don't change anything about this file, all right? So if I take you to it, let's say nano, that's how you open a file, and we're gonna open a nano celery.py. You'll see I've typed everything the way I've explained to you over there, all right? So you know, I'm not gonna go through explaining all of this because it's going to take too much time, but just take my word for it, use the code as is, it's going to work, try it and test it, all right? So once you've done that, okay, I'm gonna take you through the project files as well. So we're gonna write the functions that we want to run you know, on automated. We're going to write those functions in a different direction. So because we are going to be working off the jobs directory, because we want to email people, you know, specific jobs, we want to be able to access the jobs, what we call models, all right? So it's easier for us to write our tasks inside of the jobs app. All right. So depending on the models you're working with for that file, you'll decide where you want to create those task files. All right. So I'm going to do it inside of the jobs folder. All right. So let's then cd out of here and cd into the jobs folder. All right. So inside of the jobs folder, you will see I've created a file here that is called a tasks.py. All right, so create a file, you can call it a tasks.py as well. And inside of that tasks.py, we are going to write the functions that we want to be automated. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, okay? So the functions that I want to be automated are these ones, right? So right at the top of the file, you need to import these two things. From Celery, import task, and then from future, import absolute import Unicode literal. So you can also freeze this right here and make sure you have these imports done correctly. The other imports from here going down, these are the imports I need for the functions. All right. And the imports at the top is the imports that's required for Celery to run, okay? So you can separate the two so that you're not confused about what the imports are. This is the import that's required for me to send an email, all right? All of these is required for me to send emails, and this one over there is importing the model itself because I'm gonna need to query the database to get the job class or the job data, so I need to import the models over there, all right? So this is what I need to run my functions. This is what I need to run a Celery scheduler, okay? So the first function, and if you followed along with us, you would be familiar with these functions. I actually just copied and pasted a lot of this code. This is the send email code that we went through when we were doing the tutorial on how to send an automated welcome email, how to send an automated password reset email, how to send. So if you want to go through in detail how the email functionality of Django works and how we did all our settings, have a look at that tutorial. I will also try and link in the description below the email. Let me just make a note there. The email tutorial for Django. So I don't want to cover that in detail because this task can be any task, okay? The task that I want to demonstrate is the email task, but in your case, it could be any task. So because this is not an email tutorial, I'm not going to focus a lot on that. So assume you have a function that is called send email, right? And in this function, we are getting all our email hosts information and the body of the email, and we're doing both the HTML and the text email. So I showed all of that in that tutorial I did, how to send an HTML email from Django. If you want your email to be rich HTML, you can do that, all right? And then finally, the schedule task. This is a task that I'm going to run of Celery, the one that I'm going to schedule. I've called it scheduled task. Okay. So in front of the task that you want to schedule, you need to make sure that you put that at task open close bracket exactly the way I've done it over there. You'll see at the top here, I'm not scheduling this function, so I don't have it over there. Because this function is actually a helper function that I'm calling from this other function, but the function that I'm scheduling is this one that is called a scheduled task. So just on top of it, put at task. And this at task is the one that you imported at the top there from Celery import task, okay? So that's the task that you put, the decorator task that you have at the top of the function. This helps Celery find all the functions that you need to schedule, okay? It just helps with that. And then, so here I'm manually doing it. Later on, we'll automate it for the users. So currently, I'm going to send just one email to myself, okay? So that email that I'm going to send is going to go like this, okay? I'm going to send an email to myself about manager positions, all right? Maybe I can change this and make them director positions. Let me just leave it as manager positions. All right. So manager positions, and then I want to focus only on government jobs specifically because government jobs has got the highest data in there, where it's more likely that you will find emails on. I mean, you'll find jobs on managers, but you can do anything. You can just filter all the jobs. But I specifically have a double filter over here. I have a filter for this company, and this company ID is actually the company ID for government jobs. So I'm only sending out the government jobs, all right? And then I'm also filtering that the title contains the selection, okay? So the selection is the manager. So somebody subscribed to jobs that are related to manager, and then I'm going to assume that if the job is related to manager, somewhere on the job title, there's going to be something related to manager on the job title. So I am filtering from the database within the category, a title. So within the category of jobs, all right, the title contains the selection, and that selection is manager. So if you want to go through how to do database queries, you can have a look at the Django documentation. I don't know if I still have it open over here. Okay, I don't have to link this because it's easy to find Django documentation. If you Google it, it's the first thing that will come up, right? So this will help you figure out how to do database queries correctly, all right? So in this specific case, the query that I've written is a double query. It is finding all the jobs that have this company, the company, and then that company is the company with a unique ID. So I first of all fetch this company with that ID, and then I use that company to filter jobs only from that company. And that company I know is the government jobs that I want to filter through. And then I also want to, after you filter through the government jobs, the second part is the selection, or I mean the title must contain manager. And then I only want three entries to be returned. So return the top three, because I'm only going to email 3 jobs. I'm not going to email everything and bore people. So I'm only going to email 3 jobs, and that's all right? So after I've done that, then I'm going to have the subject of my email. I'm going to have the body of my email. This is just helping me be able to create the context for the HTML file. Again, go through that a video tutorial that we did on how to write emails, especially HTML rich emails, because we explained that in detail. All right. So this is all what's going to go into that object that gets added into the the HTML content, and then it's going to be displayed nicely. I won't bore you with those details, but just know that you have this function helping out setting. This function helps to create the email object itself and send it across, and that's the send email function that's up there, and I'm calling it from down here. But then this is a task that I'm going to schedule. So you could have a task, for example, that says def, I don't know, print something. All right. So let's say you had a function that did that, that said that, okay, and then print, we are printing something. Okay, this function is similar to that function, all right? To include it inside of Celery, you will just have to copy that and paste that in there, all right? And then you'll be good to go, all right? So I don't have a function that says that, so I'm going to leave that as it is, and then I will just have it like that, and then I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to add it over here. So under jobs, I'm going to say nano tasks.py. All right, and then I've pasted that function that I explained to you over there. All right, then I'm gonna close it. So if I take you back to our high level, on the project, from the project level, you have that project directory. These are the project directory. You created that initial file called celery.py. Remember that. Now inside of the actual app itself, the app called jobs. All right, we're gonna create a new file that is called tasks.py. And inside of this file, you're going to put all the functions that you want to run automatically on Celery, okay, and make sure you're using the decorator on top of the task, okay. And if you had multiple apps that have multiple tasks, like let's say I have an app here that is going to be emailing people, and then let's say I have another app over there. We had an app called blogs, remember. So let's say we had an app called blogs. It also has all of these views.py and all the functions over there, right? And you wanted to automate another task inside of the blogs app. You would create another file in there called tasks.py. Okay, you would do that. But in my specific case, I only have one task I want to automate, so I'm not going to do this because I don't have another task instead of blogs. Let's say, I mean, you would ask, well, why would you automate blogs? I don't know. Maybe you're emailing people blogs as well, or maybe you are, refreshing your blogs database, or you're fetching an API somewhere for your blogs. Whatever it is, and you wanted it to be automated, you would then, inside of your blogs app, you would create a new file called tasks.py, and inside of that file you would put in all the functions that you want to automate, making sure that the function itself, the final function that must be called by Celery, has that decorator on top of it. Okay, so that's all you have to do as far as the functions go. And then the last step that we need to do is to then connect via the settings.py for Django, the specific Celery settings. Okay, so we're gonna go out of here. All right, and we're gonna go out of there. All right, and then we're gonna open our settings.py file. So the settings.py file is gonna be nano. Opening it, and then it's inside of the Skolo app project directory, and it is called settings.py. So if you look at my sort of like attempt at a high level file structure, inside of that project directory, one of the files in there is called settings.py. Okay, this is the file that keeps all of our Django settings, and you just need to open it. All right, and then at the bottom of this file, you can put it actually anywhere on the file, but right at the bottom of this file, we're gonna create our Celery settings. Okay, all right. Now again, you can just freeze frame here and make sure that you get all my settings correctly, or you get all your settings right. Okay, so the settings, they start over here. All right, the first one is the broker URL. Okay, the URL is localhost, and the port is 6379. This 6379 post, don't change it because it's set up also inside of the Celery app config, and it's always using 6379. And if you do this, if you have one of the issues you might have with this is if your virtual server, you followed my tutorials and you installed a firewall, just make sure that you then make a port 6379 open for the firewall, I think, so that it doesn't get blocked by the firewall. But try it open, close, I don't know. So that if you have issues, maybe you can just try and check that it's not the firewall that's blocking your whatever. But I've opened my firewall on this port. All right. And then the result backend is going to be the same one over there. The content that's going to come into this the Celery server is going to come in JSON format, and it's going to be this one over there. And so serializer is JSON, and then remember to set your time zone, okay? Because sometimes with Celery we're going to use cron tasks, and you have to be able to tell it what is your time zone, so that if you say want to send something at 6 a.m., it's not sending it at 6 a.m. It's different time zone and not your one. Okay, so this is the default. If you've decided on the time zone, if somebody is using your app from somewhere else in the world, they'll just have to work with the time zone that you have. And then what I want to draw your attention to is this over here. All right, the beat schedule. Okay, this is important, so I want to actually zoom in on this so that you don't get it wrong. Okay, so the beat schedule, if you come over here, I can't seem to zoom into this. All right, So if you want to use cron tab to do your settings, you can. So I have an extra line over there that's showing you how to do that. All right. So the way you schedule your functions, that you can schedule it as a like something that goes every couple of seconds. So in my specific case, I want to schedule this every 300 seconds. Okay, so I can just schedule it like that. I can say schedule, I can put a number 300. If I wanted to do it every 600 seconds, I can do it like that. But this is a very crude way of doing things. A better way of doing it is using cron tab. All right, like that. And then make sure that you import a cron tab. So from celery.schedules, import cron tab. All right, and then so if you write there, if you do it like that, all right, let's say you do it like that. So if you know the cron notation, right? If you wanted to send the emails every 5 minutes, you'll write it like that, And I have a I'll link this in the description for you as well, to go through all the different sort of like notations for how to schedule your functions. So you can use minute, hour, day of week, day of month, a day of year. So let's say in my specific case, I want to schedule this task every Monday morning. All right, every Monday morning, and I want to do it at like 7 in the morning. Okay, so I would write it like that, like this. Where's mine? Okay, so I would write it like that. I would say a cron tab, okay, like that. So I would use for the day of the week. All right, for day of the week is equals to let's see. So it can be Monday to Friday. It can be every 2 days, but every day that is divisible by 2. So I want it to be Monday. All right. So let me put like that, Monday. All right. So I want it to go out on a Monday. All right. And then the hour. All right. So I want it to go out on a Monday, and then the hour is equals to so let's say I want it to go at 7 a.m. in the morning. So I will have it as 7, like that, because it will be like it will be a 24-hour scale. So if you wanted to go at 7 o'clock in the evening, you would have it as 19, like that. So it's like a 24-hour schedule. So in my specific case, I wanted to go out at 7 in the morning, and then the minutes, I wanted to go out at minutes. The minute can be, I don't know, like 15. So at 7:15 on a Monday, the task will go out. All right. So what I have over here is the task going out every 5 minutes. Okay. So if you have minute star over 5, it means it's going out every 5 minutes. If you wanted to go out every Monday, 7:15, that's how you would write it. Okay. But I'm going to simplify things for this testing, because I just wanted to for you to see immediately when you do this. So I'm going to just put in 200 over there. This means that it will schedule this every 200 seconds. Okay, so that we can just make sure that it's working. And once you're happy that the task is going to happen, it went out, I want to check that the email comes, then I can go and I can reschedule it properly to go out every Monday at a specific time. All right, so that's what this is over there. Okay, so let me just double change this and change it from 100. And let's change this from 100 to 200, okay? And then that is good to go, all right? So let's recap what we've done so far, because there's a lot of steps to follow here, and you must just make sure that you get it all right, okay? The first thing is that we've installed Redis, we've installed it on the machine, we've installed it on pip, and we've installed Celery 4.4.2, okay? After that, we've gone and created the celery.py file, which is this one over there. Okay, the celery.py file, and we've created and added the functions that we need to have over there. Once you've done that, then you've created your tasks inside your specific applications. You've written your tasks accordingly. and then you've added the settings inside of the settings.py file. Okay, now once you've done that, there's a couple of things I must actually, I forgot to tell you about this, is that inside of this Celery bit schedule, okay, it's not just the scheduling or sort of like the how often you want to schedule it that's important. You have to actually call the task that you are calling at that scheduled time, because you might have multiple tasks scheduled at different times. You have to be able to represent that in here. So what I've written over here is jobs.task.schedule_task. This is the jobs application folder, right? The jobs application folder is the one where our task is recorded. And inside of the jobs.application folder, the file itself is called tasks, and the function is called schedule task in there. So that is what this means. So let me just go over there and ls and cd jobs. All right. So you will see inside of the jobs folder, there is a file called tasks.py. All right. And inside of this tasks.py, okay, no. Inside of this tasks.py is the function that you want to call that is called a scheduled task. So this is basically what we're doing over here. So inside of the jobs folder, the tasks file, there's a function called scheduled task. If you had more than one task, okay, this is how you would do it. This must be in JSON format. All right. So you would create a new task. So let's say you would call it task number 2, whatever it is. So let's say you would create a new task. All right, and you have to give it a unique name, so it can't be the same name as what we had before. All right, and this is in JSON format, and then you would create your object, and then within this object, you would have, I'm just gonna copy that, all right, and paste that in there. All right, tab. All right, good. So the task. So if the second task is in the same file as this one, let's say within the same file, we created another task or another function that needs to be run, you would then just say jobs.tasks, whatever it is, second function. Okay, second function like that. And if that function has got arguments, you would add the arguments. Over here you would say args. Okay, you would say args, and then you would add what your arguments are in there. All right, so I don't have any arguments into my functions, and I try to write functions that don't need arguments. If I have a function that needs an argument, I will write another function on top of it that doesn't need an argument, and then do it that way so that I can avoid argument issues. We're trying to deal with it this way. All right, so so this is task number 2. You would do it like that. So if you have multiple tasks, you would put them in multiple JSON objects like that, depending, and then you can schedule it differently. So let's say this one, you want it to be you want this now to run every let's say you want it to run every hour. Okay, every hour. So you want to run this function every hour. You would say every divided by 1. Okay, so basically what this means is that every number that is divisible by 1. Okay, so obviously every hour is divisible by 1, so it will run every hour every hour that is divisible by 2. This will be in even hours. So if you wanted to run it like at 8, at 10, at 12, at whatever, sort of even numbered hours, you would do it like that. So every hour that is divisible by 2, it will run it like that. If you want to run it every hour that is divisible by 2, but then you want to run it only every 5 minutes, then you would you would have it like star any number that is divisible by 5. So this will run it every even hour, 5 minutes, and then it will run that function. Okay, so in my specific case, I only have this one function that I want to run, and the hours are divisible. I want to run it every 200 seconds, and I have it this way so that you can just see that this runs. Okay, so there's one more thing that we still need to do. Okay, one last thing before we can test our application. Our running of the scheduled task is we need to. I almost forgot this, but inside of your project directly, you need to add some code inside of your init file. So let's go into our project directory. So this is the directory right at the top. Remember, you have your project, then you have your project directory, and then you have your different apps directory. This is the same directory where you build that celery.py file. Okay, so inside of that same directory where you have your celery.py file, we need to open that init file. Okay, so we're not creating a new file. There should be an init file already that comes with the Django app. You just need to open it. So the best way to do it is just to copy. So I've copied that, and then you do nano and you paste, and then it'll open that file. All right. So inside of this directory, you need to just because we need to initiate Celery because all the code that you put in your init.py file gets run when that app is being initialized. Okay, so we need to import. First of all, we import the app from the Celery file. So if you recall, inside of our Celery file, this is the code that we have inside of our Celery file. Okay, so we created the Celery app. So it's that app is our Celery with the name Skolo app. All right. And the config of that app is the one that's going to get the config from the Django config settings, and then we've set it to auto discover tasks. And so this app is the one that you are basically importing. All right. So from .celery import app as Celery app. I mean, you could call it anything that you want, but I've decided to call it Celery app so that I don't confuse Celery app with other apps that I have on my Django app. And then you just need to run this code. L is equals to Celery app, like in a in a like square brackets. Okay, so you just need to add this code. This file would have been empty if you didn't have any other init functions running in here. So you're just going to add this as it is, just what I've copied here. If you are doing it for yourself, obviously don't just copy and paste everything I'm doing. You might want to call your app the whatever you want to call it. You don't have to call it Celery app, right? But make sure you're importing from the right file. All right. Then after you've done that, we're going to be ready to run this. Okay, now there's many ways to run it. I'm going to show you a way in which you can run it directly off the the terminal, but this is only going to be viable for development purposes. Okay, so why? Because now we're still developing and we're actually testing that everything runs well. Once we finish development, we have to actually run it differently, and I'll show you all of that. Okay, so if you're in development and you want to run it directly off the shell, this is the code that you need to run. Okay, so because we called it Skolo app, whatever you called your app, whatever your Django app, all right, is the one that you need to put in there. Okay, so don't just paste Skolo app unless if you called your Django app Skolo app. So basically what this is doing is that it's getting the workers to go into the app and to find all the Celery functions that it needs to run, and then it's gonna run them for you. Okay, and depending on your frequencies and intervals, is going to run it according to those intervals until you stop this function from running. So if it's running on your terminal, if you stop the function from running on the terminal, then the scheduling will also stop. This is why you can't actually run it on the terminal. You have to find a way to run it directly off the system. All right, but what I like about this is that the running of the scheduling tasks is sort of like in parallel with the running of your Django app, so that they don't clash, but the scheduling runs inside of the Django app, so it will be able to access the Django database. It will be able to access all the other your features inside of your Django app, but it's actually run separately on a different thread. Okay, so what is that? Oh, okay. So I'm off the wrong. I'm running this in the wrong CD. Let's CD out of here. ls. Okay, so you need to run this code where you are on the the top, very top, the root of the directory, where you can see the manage.py file. That's what I always tell you. If you can see the manage.py file, then you're in the root of your directory, and then you need to run this code over there. And then whatever you call this must be the same name that you have for your project. So if your project is called project, you will call this project. But because my project is called Skolo app, it's Skolo app, it's going to go into the init file over there and run that. Okay, so that's why I've called mine Skolo app, and let's run it there. There you go. and it's already run the task, okay? Because I only gave it like a couple of seconds, so it managed to run it in 2.7 seconds, which is actually because I think I gave it 200 seconds. So let's just go have a look. So what I wanted it to do was to, if you look at my task over there, all right, it's supposed to go into the database and filter 3 company jobs based on this manager selection, and there must be government jobs, and then it's going to send me this email, and sending that email is going to be in this format, okay? It's going to send the 3 jobs like title like that. And the email template that we're using is the same one I've showed you in the past. So have a look at that tutorial. So basically, it's sending me an email about 3 different jobs. Okay, so let me just check my email that I've received this mail. And there it is. This was sent 14:49, which is exactly the time that I'm typing this. Job notifications from Careers Portal. These are the 3 different jobs that is available. Senior manager for Pretoria. This is a salary 1 million to 1.2 million. This is a real job, by the way. If you're watching this video and you want to apply, this is an actual real job from my database. So you can set this up for yourself. This is the contact number, because with the government jobs, there's no link to go and apply for the jobs online. You actually have to do a proper government application process. You have to get like the forms. I've got some Z forms, but if you know who to contact, they'll be able to help you with the inquiries. So at least I have the inquiries over there, and you'll have the location is in Pretoria. The next job is the office of the chief master in Pretoria, and the salary is a little bit lower than that one, but it's also a manager job. And the last one is an operations manager in Shiawelo, and it's even lower salary, and you have all the information and everybody you must contact. Don't you think this is a useful feature for people? I think people are going to subscribe to this, and I'm going to send them these emails on a weekly basis. And they can, get the information, the phone numbers, and they can email these people if they like, okay? So currently, this is doing well, and I'm going to stop this because I don't want it to send it again, because it will go off there and send it again. So I'm going to stop that, and I'm going to now do the scheduling properly. Now, if you look over here, I'm sending these emails directly to myself. So what needs to happen here is that this function, it needs to actually go and fetch the users from our database, all right? And then it needs to be emailing those users, all right? And then the second thing is that it needs to check that the users have selected, because when we started over there, if you look at my app, users are supposed to subscribe to what they want, okay? So it needs to be able to check that the user subscription, what it is, all right? And then it needs to find that, and then it needs to search based on that. And then after that, to get the email address, it needs to go through our database and get the user's email to send that to the user. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rewrite this function for exactly that, okay? So that will be the last part of our tutorial. Okay. So if we look back at our account, we have this email notifications. The way I wired it in the backend is that I created a new class called notifications, and I created like a dependency or a relationship between the notifications and the user, so that every user can create a notifications class, and in that notification class they can make their preferences, and then I will always be able to connect the notifications to a specific user, which means a specific user can only have one set of notifications. They can either delete or change the status on that notification, or so yeah. So if you look at the admin backend, I created a new class called a job notifications, and inside this job notifications, I did this like quite recently, so I'm the only one who has the notifications open. So these emails that I'm sending out for testing will only go out to me, and it's a very simple class or model. It just has basically a date created, and then there's a sort of like relationship with the user. As you can see, I already have a couple of users on this platform that have registered. So thank you guys for registering. And now this platform is going to be even more useful, that you'll be able to get weekly email notifications on the jobs that you want. So the user, that's me. And then I have a status, all right? So this status has 3 different options. Select that you can pick from. There's active, default, and unsubscribed. So what will happen is when a member creates a notification for the first time, it will be default. and once they pick a section or a topic that they want to notify to, it will become active, and then they can pick a category that they want to select. So currently, you can see on my side, I am Zatosh, and I have an active a manager notification. So on the Django backend, this is what it looks like. It's a subscribed user. That's myself. The status is active, and the subscribe category is managed. So what I'll be able to do when I'm writing this this functionality to automate this, I should be able to search inside of my database, search through all the job notifications, then find only the notifications which have a status of active. Because as I said, users have the ability to unsubscribe. And if they unsubscribe, like in this specific case, let's say I click unsubscribe over there, and I have unsubscribed, I have no notification. If I come back here and I restart this, you will see that I have unsubscribed. I mean, if I go back to job notifications and I just click on it again without making any changes, you'll see I have unsubscribed. So if I go back to notifications, right, and let me change it on this side, I want to resubscribe. I want to subscribe to a manager notifications. I want jobs that are related to manager. I can click on save, and you'll see I have resubscribed. If I go back over there and I resubscribe, it now says active. Now I should be able to search for only the notifications which have active, which means the user has subscribed, and then I can send them an email. So the code is going to look like this, all right? I'm going to go for notifications. I'm going to search through the job notifications class. So obviously I have to start by importing it at the top. All right. So I'm importing from user model because the notification model is inside of the user's application. So I have to go users.models, import everything, or I can just import notifications. I like to import everything. I know it's not necessary. So I've imported everything, and then once I've imported everything, I know that inside of everything, I'll be able to access that job notifications, all right? And then in this specific case, I'm just going to the database and I'm collecting all of the job notifications. And then I will now iterate through all of them. For NX in notification, this is just iterating through each and every single notification if NX status is active, all right? So as I'm iterating through the notifications, if the status is active, only then can we proceed with what we want to do, all right? So the selection is going to be NX, the subscribe category, all right, which is this subscribe category. So I'm going to have to find what they have subscribed to. All right, this is what the selection is. Then I'll be able to put that selection in there when I query the database the second time. All right, the company, remember I said I'm only working with government jobs in this specific case because of how I built my email template. The government jobs have a nice, they show the salary, they show, phone numbers that you can contact people directly. They have a lot of, I like to work for this specific, email notification. I'll work with only government jobs. What I can do is that I can create another notification for a different job type, or I can work with the templates so that if it's a government jobs, it only has a different template. But just to illustrate to you how this works for today, I'm only going to deal with government jobs. So I filter through all the jobs. The first filtering is this, the company with the unique ID is this one. And remember this, the government. Just remember how I built the companies. If you look under jobs, all right, this is a specific job list. This is the list of jobs that we have. If you pick just one job, for example, you will see under government, these are all the different, under company, all right, these are all the different, like Vodacom, it's 7DE, government is 13960D2, all right? So this is what we have over here. Company objects get unique ID is equals to that, okay? So this is that unique ID, 1369, all right? So it's the company, all right? That's why we have company here. So under company, if you look at companies over there, all right? These are all the different companies that we have. Every time we add a job to the database, we have to specify one of these companies. This is how we're able to differentiate between the different categories. So companies is like, your MTNs or whatever, all the different companies we have the jobs under. So inside of the jobs, we are able to specify the company as the different type of company that is offering the job. So as I filter here, I'm filtering for companies and I want that unique ID only. All right. And this company unique ID is the one that's associated with government jobs, which means we are filtering only through the government jobs here. And then the second filter, so this is a double filter. The second filter is the one where we say the title must contain the selection, and the selection in this specific case is, in my case, a manager, but it will depend on whoever this notification is being sent to. Their specific selection is the one which will apply. So now we've written the code to, to send it to whoever it needs to send it to. So if we had a different user, for example, who had selected a different, keyword, let's say like where am I? Like I've selected manager, and a different person has selected director, the selection for that person would be as they have selected it. And they will get the notifications that matches their selection. So even though I'm writing this code once, it will match the different selections by the different users, all right? So that's what we're doing there. And then after that, we are sending the email. Now, the other thing I've changed is the email that the email address that it must be sent to. All right, so it's going to be nx.subscribeduser.email. All right, so nx is that notification class or model, and inside of that model we have the relationship with the subscribed user, obviously, which is the user profile, and I called it subscribed user. And then inside of the user profile, we have first name, last name, email address, so we can access the email address of the specific user from their user profile. So if you go back over here to our job notifications, you will see that for this job notifications, we have the date created, the subscribed user, that's that one. So this is a user profile. So we can actually access this user profile, and then we can access all the variables inside of the user profile. Which one of them is the email address? So we can say whatever this class is, .subscribed user their email address, and that's what we're doing here. .subscribe user email address, and then it will be sent to that person. And remember, it has to be inside of the square brackets, because this is a list. And then this should work. Okay, something else that I've changed at the top over here, you will see I've created like a try-catch chain of sorts, because when I was running it, testing it, we had an error, because if somebody, for example, selects a category called a director, let's say somebody chooses a director, and then when we go through the database, and for the category of director, maybe there's only 2 jobs available in the database. This code is going to give you an error, because we are iterating all the way up to the 3rd job, and if the 3rd job doesn't exist, you're going to get like a out of range error. And I got this out of range error with some of the categories. So what I've done is that I've put the code inside of a try catch block. All right, so the first try, you're going to try to run this code, assuming you have gotten 3 results. All right, and if you gotten 3 results, you will send all the 3 results to the user, and you'll send the message. Okay, and if you have an error with this, it's very likely that the error is that you didn't have 3 results, and then you had an out of range error. This is the most common error that you're going to get here. Common exception. I don't anticipate any other type of exception. And if you had any, and if you were not sure what exception you want to refer to, so if you wanted to cater for different exceptions, you can mention them here. You can say except, out of range error, except whatever error, depending on the error that you think you're going to get. In my specific case, I've run this code many times. I think the only likelihood of throwing an exception here is having an out of range error, where you get a list that doesn't have 3 items on the list, and you've specified the 3rd item is going to throw an error that says your list is out of range. So in case I have an error, except, then you're going to try something else. And the second time around, I'm only sending 2 job notifications. I'm only sending 2, all right? And I'm only sending 2, and I only have the 0 and 1, all right? And if I catch an error there, then I'm only going to send 1, all right? And if I catch an error there, then I'm not sending anything at all. I'm just going to pass. So it means that the 3rd time around, if you got an exception 3 times, it means maybe for that specific category they've selected, the job is not available. But as we build our database, we're going to have so many jobs that this exception is going to be highly unlikely. But you have to build this robustness into your code when you're starting out, so that you don't have those kind of errors. Because if this throws an error, it's just going to throw your whole program out of sync, and then for the whole week, if one person had an error, everybody else, once the exception has been thrown, doesn't get their email notification. So the better thing to do is to put this in a try-catch block, and if this throws an error, you pass, and at least then the next person still gets their emails, even though that one person doesn't get anything, because then you don't run that code at all if you have an exception. Okay, so that's just good practice over there, and I've rewritten that code that way. I've already copied and pasted it. I've already tested it, but I'm going to test it in front of you so you can see that my code is running, okay? Because one of the things why I make these videos is that it's one thing to go and read through a lot of articles with code, and then you copy and paste that code and then it doesn't work, and you're like, oh, like when I was preparing for this, I went through so many different code examples. 90% of those code samples didn't work as they are written. So what I do in this Skolo Online is I show you the code, I copy and paste it in front of you, I run it in front of you so you can see that it runs on camera. And then if you have issues, obviously just go through my video step by step to make sure you haven't missed anything, because if I've tested it and it's running and you can see it's running in front of your computer, there's nothing wrong with the code is going to run properly. So we're going to go to our virtual server over here, and let us just stop this, and we're going to go and let's see, where did we have our function? It was nano. We had it inside of the users, jobs, and I think it was called tasks.py. Yeah, that's the one. All right, so I've already pasted the code in here. You'll see there's the try-catch block, the 3 of them, so you can nest try-catch blocks inside of each other. You can try something, and if that doesn't work, you try something else. It doesn't work, you try something else. All right, so this is like a try-catch chain, all right, or a nested try-catch, and then you'll see at the end, so what I showed you is exactly this code as it is. I haven't changed anything else. Oh yes, no, I've changed my settings.py file. So let's have a look at it again. So nano, because I think there was something wrong with the way I did the settings.py file the first time. So we're just gonna do nano Skolo app, and we're gonna go check our settings.py. Oh. All right. And at the bottom over there, I've imported cron tab at the top. All right. So if you have a look there, all right, this piece of line that says from celery.schedules import cron tab, just make sure you add it at the top of this file. All right, where all your imports are. If you don't add it, you're gonna have an error. And then after you add this import, then you can, I've changed the scheduling at the bottom there to send out every 5 minutes. Obviously, I want you to do every 5 minutes so that you can see it sending right in front of you right now within the next 5 minutes, okay? I'm gonna stop the watch and fast forward, but you'll see that it sends across. And so this is where you can write, and you want to do every day, every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, every Monday at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's how you're going to do the scheduling over there. And again, I will link this in the description below, all the, sort of like the, like the formats in which you can use, every day of the week, every day of the month. For example, if you want to send it only from the 2nd to the 30th, divided by 2, every even number day, every month of the year, every 3rd month of the year, every 3rd day of the week, whatever, so there are different variations of how to do the scheduling, but you should be able to find the appropriate one for whatever it is that you're doing, okay? So for testing, I'm just going to do it every 5 minutes so that you can see it, okay? So this is the, how you would write every 5 minutes. It's basically every minute that is divisible by 5, okay? Then you're gonna close this, and then let me just copy my this is, remember, running it, if you're running it on a like development server, like if you're still in the debug mode, okay? In production server, you need to do it differently, and I think we're running out of time now, so I won't show you in this video, but I'm going to put it I'm going to put a link in the description for an article where I'm going to write up everything that I've done here. I'm going to put it on Medium, and you can go have a look over there. I will extend the article to include what you need to do, for production, for example, so that, you are able to do this in the production server. But currently, because we're in the development server, this should be sufficient, but obviously this is not running concurrently with your Django app at the same time. But if you were in development and you wanted to test both of them at the same time, what you could do is that you could use Screen. And I've showed you how to use Screen before, okay? Screen is a very nice sort of like app that you can have on your, Ubuntu machine where you can have multiple screens running at the same time, and you can run this in multiple, you can write different codes in multiple screens. You can do it that way, or inside of your terminal, you can just open a different shell window, and then you can run this on one window, and then you can run the app on another window, so that you can see both of them running at the same time if you want to do that. But for production, ideally, you don't want to do it like that. For production, you want to do it the way I'm going to show you in the video, in the description. I will link an article that I'm going to write on Medium. Support me on Medium, read that article. You'll see the details of employing this in production, okay? So we're going to run this. We have about, looks like it's already run it, eh? Tasks jobs succeeded in 2 seconds. It ran it, and it hasn't even been 5 minutes yet. So let's have a look at my email. Yeah, it already ran it. So this is when I was testing it, okay? And then this is 15:49 right now. It just ran this right now, even though I asked it to run it every 5 minutes, and you can see it's the same jobs. Okay, so this works just fine. All right, so I'm going to stop because I don't want to be emailing myself every other 5 minutes, because I can see it runs. But you can wait. It's about 1 minute to because it's 15:49 now. There's 1 minute to 15:50, and then you should run it again, and you'll see it running it in front of you now, and then you'll see that this is typically running every 5 minutes. Okay, there you go. It's exactly 15:50 right now on my watch as I'm recording this, and it just ran the function again. The first time it ran it in 2.8, now it's running it in 2.6. Let's have a look at our mailbox. You will see this is the last email that was here when I was in my mailbox, 15:49. And at 15:50, it ran it again. So basically, it's going to run this function every 5 minutes. Okay, every 5 minutes, it's going to email me what's going on. So this is how you schedule tasks inside of a Django application while only in development mode. If you want to learn more about how to do it in production, have a look at the description. I'm going to link an article to Medium that I'm going to write. And in that article, I write everything we've done, all the code snippets of what we've done here today, plus what you need to do to get this running in production environment. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next week. I'm really excited about this app. I've decided to make it a full-blown app. I mean, since I've already built it, I know when I started building it, I was building it just for Skolo Online. But now that it's already there, I already pretty much got the domain. I might as well make the most of it. So I have upgraded my back end. I'm going to make this useful to people. You can come here, subscribe to your job notifications to be able to get your job notifications. I'm going to add a very nice function at the top there where you can build your CV online, a professional looking CV. And I think one of the next tutorials I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to create a PDF document from HTML. So we're going to do HTML to PDF. So we're going to take all this data that people have entered inside of their resume, and we're going to structure it nice in a PDF format, and then we're going to output a PDF that somebody can download and send out their CV. So previously we've done a tutorial on how to go from PDF and go through the document, a PDF document, and sort of destructure it and get the data out of the PDF document. What we're going to do now is that we're going to build a PDF document with data that people have entered over here, and we're going to create a PDF document that you can download, which has your CV nicely built for you. And I will do that, I think, maybe next week. So if you guys are interested in how to do HTML to PDF, make sure you're tuned in next week, maybe Saturday or Sunday. I will be dropping that tutorial. And thank you guys for watching. See you next time.